Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giant podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giant football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up, keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob.
Let's
get to podcasting.
It's a podcasting time here. So, yeah, folks, we've been going through each position for you guys here from the past season, giving you our thoughts on where we have been the last year, where we see things going forward in the future. And today comes into one of the most important positions in all of football, a position we have struggled with since the last time we won a Super Bowl. Coincidence, I think not. The offensive line, the O-line, I will try not to say hot mollies as often as I can. I got to go ahead and call it that. I can't help myself. I actually like the term, even though he kind of ruined it for us Giant fans. I still like the term. It's an old school smash mouth football kind of term. Unfortunately, it was just a schmuck who used it. It is what it is.
Yeah,
nitty
gritty term.
So before we get started doing that, though, I do want to let you guys know that we did say initially we'd have Antonio from the Breaking Tackles Giants podcast on with us. Unfortunately, he was unable to attend due to emergency. We are talking about having him further on down the line, so no hard feelings there. If anybody thinks something crazy happened, just life happens, guys. So we'll be happy to have him on later on there. So today, though, before we get started with our usual breakdown of the positions, we do have to start off with our breaking news from the past 48 hours. And for those who watch the show on a regular basis know that we like having little videos. So here's a new one for you guys here as we start off. Oh, yes, breaking news. First one is a total shocker for everybody, I think. Kenny Galladay is set to be released the first possible day he can be released. Oh,
say what?
I know.
Say what?
I thought he was doing so well, too. Who would have thought?
Listen. Last game of the season, he got a touchdown pass. How could you cut this guy?
And then you cut him. This is what you do. Yeah. This is a lack of respect for the hard work.
Can't finish that.
I can't even do it. Listen, we all knew it was going to happen. I think the only shocker for some people is the fact that he wasn't going to be a post June 1st cut. We can go ahead and get even more money back from his, for at least for this year off the salary cap. But for those who aren't quite aware of what happens is there's guaranteed money in contracts. It's split amongst all the years of the contract. If you cut someone, that guaranteed money now, anything left is all in that year you cut him. If you cut him post June 1st, it's split between the year you're in and the year you're going to be in next year at that point, 50-50. So people wanted to free up more cash for this year, but I don't know if anybody's been listening to Joe Shane since he entered the MetLife Stadium, but what has he said always? I do not want to kick the can down the road. He has said that numerous times, folks, numerous times. Guess what? He meant it. He's not going to kick the can down the road. He's going to take the hit now, and he's going to have even more money next year. And that's what he's going to do. And I knew he was going to do that twofold. One, because of the money thing. He doesn't want to kick the can. Second is, when do all the signings happen? April, May,
You want that roster availability for the best players you could possibly have. And obviously, Kenny was not one of them.
But it's also, you don't want to be a dick to Kenny on the way out. If you cut him post June 1st, the chances of him finding a team to sign him are less. I won't say slim. They're less. Because a lot of people would have filled up the positions they had available at that point. So, you don't do it because
he has more opportunity
for the player. Unless you have big issues with the player, or you're holding out because you can get trade value. That's what happened last year with James Bradbury. We thought we're going to get some trade value for him, and it turns out we didn't get trade value. So we ended up, cutting him later in the season than we usually would. You make that move quick out of respect for the player. That's what you do. Say what you want about Kenny Golladay, but you look at him on the running plays, he definitely wasn't, a slacker then. I think he just lost some of what made him special. That's all there is to it. You don't get that back once you lose it. So, goodbye, Kenny. Thank you for your efforts and your drop passes.
And your one touchdown.
Yes, thank you. And, of course, it's Combine Week, so what does that mean? That means everybody who's anybody in the NFL has to stand in front of a bunch of mics and talk to all of the media, not just the area media, usually the national media.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Giants are in the news because of everything going on with Saquon and Daniel Jones, and everybody wanted to talk to Joe Shane thinking he was going to slip up and say something stupid. Who would have thought the man's not going to slip up and say something stupid? If he had done that, I would have said, okay, he's the wrong guy. He's not what I thought he was. All he did was say that we're going to keep Daniel Jones. The tag is an option. We'd like to keep Barkley as well. No breaking news there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've seen how these guys played and what they're asking for, you understand why.
Yeah. I mean, but you don't give up anything like that. Why would you give anything to the media? There's no need to.
No.
So, it's exactly what I thought. Rob, we got an early bird here. Frankie Curtis. Already looking for a slice of Rob.
There we go, buddy.
His slice of Rob he's looking for there. So, yeah.
You got to wait for Sunday, bud.
Sounds like a bold move, Cop, he says. So, the thing they did talk about with contracts, though, was just giving people a heads up on who they're going to meet with this week during the Combine. Because it's not just about meeting with the rookies. Every single person involved with the NFL is in Indianapolis for this Combine. So when they do that, a lot of agents show up, talk about different moves. So we have contract talks will be starting during the Combine with Julian Love and Jon Feliciano, who we'll get into John in a little bit here. But yeah, the big one's going to be Julian Love because that's probably our third biggest free agent on the market coming up this year is going to be Julian Love, who I've heard any number from $8 million to $10 million a year. We're going to have to re-sign Xavier McKinney, obviously, after next year. So how much money do you really want to invest in safeties? It's one of those positional value kind of things there. So we'll see how that plays out there. And like I said, also Jon Feliciano, I don't want to give too much away on. We're going to talk about him later on. So I don't want to give too much of my thoughts.
Yeah.
You guys are like, oh, what's the point of this? And I asked myself this game question. What is the point?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
What are we even doing here, folks? So also said, which I personally love this, and I know, Rob, you're the same ballpark as I am. We're both big fans of this guy here. They've already started talking to Nick Gates' agent, even way ahead of the Combine, and they said they hope to have him back for next year. Oh, we just showed our cards in the Nick Gates conversation later on.
Oh, son of a gun.
Anybody watched or listened, I think even once knows where we stand with him. But the big one that I liked hearing is they also said they're going to meet with the agents for Leonard Williams. That's a big one.
Fantastic.
That's one of the biggest what the hell moves for this offseason because you got a guy with a massive, massive salary cap. I mean, this guy, even with what's going to happen with Daniel Jones, is probably going to have the largest cap number on our entire squad just based on the F up with the Dave Gettleman contract. He's going to hit for $32.26 million this year. If we cut him, we save just over $12 million. So I don't think anybody wants to cut him. He's still a good player, but he's sure as shit ain't worth $32 million.
Yeah.
No. But is it worth paying $20 million to not have him play? That's the problem you run into. There is no good solution to this whole entire thing. So I think what they're going to do personally is I think they're going to go ahead and figure out a way to go ahead and extend him or at least talk his cap number down for this year and rework it as a 1-year deal kind of thing, because you're not going to pay him that. Nobody wants to eat $20 million. That's for sure. And I think Leonard Williams knows he's coming off a year that wasn't as dominant as a couple years ago. He's coming off a year where he missed some games. He's not worth that. I think he's smart enough to realize that. Plus, playing next to Sexy Dexy really helps him look good as well. Anywhere else he goes, he's probably not going to have someone of that caliber next to him, unless he goes like Kansas City, or LA, plays with the Rams. It's hard to meet somebody who's that caliber at that position.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were thinking. He's like,
I was trying to think what other teams can he go to that would make him look as good at his position.
There's really not. And that's why he wants to stay. Yeah. He's already said he wants to stay. Then we got to talk about our coaches and all the coaches' moves here and moves that didn't happen here. So they asked Wink Martindale about the Indianapolis job that he did go ahead and interview for a few times. He was a finalist. His quote was, "I do know I was a leading candidate, but there were some things they wanted me to do that I didn't want to do." Kind of curious there. Would not go into details, and then said, "This is a prime destination here in New York." He did say that that doesn't mean he won't look for a head coaching job down the road. Of course he's going to look for it. I want to know this, though. I want to know what the hell they wanted him to do in Indianapolis that he was just not for. Like, did they want him to dress up as a furry or something? Like, what?
Maybe
again.
I don't know, because
they have to do a line with Jim Irsay. Like, what was that? Like, what do they want him to do?
You and Jeff Saturday have to go out every Friday night.
Yeah,
which doesn't make sense.
Prepare.
Well, it probably had been like, it could have been him choosing his coaching staff, which most head coaches want to choose their staff.
Yeah, we talked about that with Gus Bradley. They wanted to keep Gus Bradley the defensive coordinator, and maybe that is it. Who knows? We got another comment here from my dad. Hey, Dad, love you, Dad. Leonard Williams will have his contract extended at least a year, and we'll need to give him a big bonus so we can keep this year's cap hit low. I could see that. I could definitely see that as they're going to do something. They're going to rip up the contract, I think, or they're going to cut him. I think that's the two options. I don't think there's any way in hell we go into Leonard Williams with a $32 million contract this year. I just don't see it. Too much a cap hit. Too much a cap hit. So Todd Bowles also gave his thoughts here on Shea Tierney, our quarterback coach, who we did interview for the OC position, but didn't give it to him. That's the interesting thing, because he sang his praises, but he didn't give the job to him. So it's kind of like, do you mean this? Or are you just trying to play nice in the media? Like, I don't know. It was some really nice words, though. He said Dable has a good one there. And he says he's going to be a very good OC and a head coach one day. Interesting.
You're a good kid, but you're not that good.
Listen, Todd Bowles, you can say what you want about Todd Bowles. He's had 2 head coaching spots. He's been a defensive coordinator numerous times. He's a legit NFL coach. I'm not sure if I say he's a legit head coach, but he's still a legit coach in this league. So if he thinks highly of him, can't be bad. Can't be bad. We have John S. Anderson Jr. Welcome back, John. When does Williams' contract end? Can we cut him, or will we owe a penalty? Dead money. And yeah, that's what we're talking about, John. He probably might have just got on a minute late there after we started this year up. So he's got a $32 million cap hit. We saved $12 million if we cut him, and we get to eat $20 million if we cut him. So that's thanks, Gettleman.
Yeah, so it's what, like we just said earlier, like is it worth paying the $20 million not to have a player play for us, or are we going to pay this guy $32 million? Pretty much.
I'm telling you right now, we're not
DJ
paying
money.
We're not paying. I really think, and my dad's here disagreeing with me, saying too much dead money to cut Williams. But I'm telling you right now, I don't see any way that we keep him at his current number, and I don't see any way that they pay him $32 million this year on the cap hit. So either they're going to cut him, or they're going to go ahead and rework the deal, I think. As John goes, ouch. Yes, ouch indeed, John. Ouch indeed. So we got another update on coaches here as well. So former Giants quarterback Alex Tanney. Remember Alex Tanney was Eli's backup for like 10 years and never saw the field once.
Give or take, yeah.
It felt like that at least. It's like every year
Yeah.
there's Alex Tanney again. He doesn't do anything. He just kind of stands there and collects a paycheck. He had the best job. He really did. So he's been a quality control coach and assistant QB coach for the Eagles, and they upgraded him this year to QB coach. So that's 2 backup quarterbacks that were Giants becoming quarterback coaches this offseason, with Davis Webb now going to Denver to coach under Sean Payton as well. So, maybe there's something to think about. There's some older quarterback they got a couple of years left in the league going, maybe I should sign on with the Giants as a third quarterback. Maybe eventually I'll be a QB coach too. That's what we do. Some teams win Super Bowls. We just create
we win new
quarterback coaches. Yeah. So we haven't been able to win one in the last 10 years.
Close to
which is sad to state. Like, how sad is that? They're like, I haven't won a Super Bowl in 10 years.
Where?
Like, could be the Jets, could be the Cowboys,
the Browns.
Could be the Browns, the Lions. They're just waiting for a playoff win, let alone, like, think about it. Our season this year would have been the best season the Lions have ever had. Ever.
That's pretty sad.
That's pretty sad there. My dad chiming in again. This whole year could blow up if we sign DJ long term, and the ceiling is Jim Everett. Ooh, Jim Everett. That's not a good ceiling. That's for sure. And I don't know about you, Rob, but I always remember Jim Everett as the guy who attacked Jim Rome on TV. If anybody doesn't know that, just look it up on YouTube. The video is out there like crazy because Jim Rome is a jerk, and I kind of like the fact that he literally attacked him. Like, this wasn't like a verbal attack. This was a physical altercation going on live TV. It was spectacular. Ken Cristiano, what's up, guy? Just got on. Hey, Ken, what's up?
Yo, buddy.
So now we have some fun news on the Giants, which I think actually helps us in free agency. The NFL Players Association gave out a report card here of all the different teams and how good they were as far as work conditions according to the players. The Giants ranked number 8 in the league. That's not too shabby. That's, that puts us in the top
25
teams. Exactly. So that's a big thing, I think, for us as far as looking at free agents, because you always hear about teams like the Bengals is a classic example that were very cheap with the players, and they had a reputation among the league about that kind of stuff. I remember one guy saying that they would get upset if you took a case of Gatorade home to your apartment that they gave you during training camp and that kind of stuff, like stuff that on most teams is normal, absolutely normal. So yeah, it's good to know that we have a good grade there, because it helps when free agency comes here. What isn't looking good, though, for us is today a federal judge said that the case of Brian Flores versus the NFL and the New York Giants can proceed. There was a thing they wanted to go to arbitration instead, because I guess there was some arbitrary agreement going into these kind of things. But yeah, no, it's going to court, guys. This could look pretty bad for the Giants, depending on what happens. If you remember the whole Bill Belichick sending text messages to the wrong person and all. Damn you, Bill. Damn you, Bill. Makes me hate the Patriots.
It wasn't his Patriot.
Yeah, exactly. So we do also have some news for this offseason as well. A lot of Giants fans have wanted us to go ahead and trade for T. Higgins. I personally don't think that's necessarily the best move out there, but there's a lot of people that are very high on T. Higgins and want to get him. Bengals executive Duke Tobin, director of player personnel, shot down the idea. He said, if they want a receiver, go find your own. That was his exact quote. So it doesn't seem like the Bengals want to trade T. Higgins there. So that's one option that's out the window. So for those who are interested in T. Higgins, that seems to be not an option anymore. I didn't want him anyway, personally. So I'm
he was too much of a price tag. Talent's there, just.
We're going to give up draft picks and then pay him like $20-25 million a year. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Leonard Williams situation waiting to happen. Call it what it is. So let's get into our offensive line breakdown. And this is such an interesting year, I think, because we improved, but it's like I wouldn't say we're great this year. It's almost like we went from like a piece of poop to a half digested meal.
Yummy.
You know what it's like we're not there yet. Don't get me wrong, but we weren't utter crap like we've been the last couple of years. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They played, I mean, with the talent they had, they played a lot better than years past, but there's still a lot of room for improvement.
Like I said, I think it's fair to say we're still a work in progress. That's for sure. So the whole thing obviously starts off with the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest tackle potentially in Giants history by the time he retires the way he's playing right now, Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas. The guy has been a freaking beast. He is top 3 offensive lineman probably in the entire league. You know, you could throw obviously Trent Williams, obviously potentially ahead of him. You could say Larry Tunsil might be right around that same range as well, but he's at least top 3 in my mind there. If anybody else wants to disagree, feel free in the comment section there. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, PFF gives an 89.1 ranking for this past year. I mean, sacks allowed 3, so
yeah,
pretty damn good.
And he's been very good in the running game as well. It's not just the pass.
Yeah,
he's been playing a revolving door next to him again. We'll get into the guards in a little bit here, but how many players we have play left guard for us this year? Probably 4. That look at the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah, about.
I mean,
you also got to look at too.
Ben Bredesen, you had Zudu play there. It's just like it's a revolving door. Like you can't succeed when you know the consistent guy next to you, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, and he's also let up 2 penalties this year, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah. He, like I said, absolute beast. I don't have a single complaint on him. And those who know me well know that it's very hard for me not to complain about something. I tend to be a complainer. I tend to be a complainer, guys. Next up, we have Evan Neal, the rookie right tackle. And I have some complaints, folks.
Yeah. I say.
Shocker. Should I bring up the breaking news again? But yeah, I mean, tackle is such a hard position to go in and succeed right off the bat. There are certain positions that are easier than others to go right into the NFL and succeed at. You can succeed right away as a wide receiver. You can succeed right away as a linebacker. You can succeed right away as a running back. But you cannot succeed, typically at least, right away as a tackle. And I think people got kind of spoiled to a certain degree because obviously last year the Chargers got Rashawn Slater and he was amazing for them, and we could have gotten him if we had not traded the pick. And I think people are looking at that going, oh, well, this guy's got to be Slater now. There's not a lot of guys like Slater. That's a really good player. People are also looking at a couple years ago when we got Andrew Thomas and you had Tristan Wirfs come in and be an absolute stud right off the bat. You had 4 good left tackles in that coming right out of that first round. And Andrew Thomas looked like the worst in year 1. He looks like the best now. So I got complaints, don't get me wrong. And pretty much all of my complaints are him in pass protection. But
mostly, I mean, PFF gives him like a 44 overall ranking, which is not the best, but he's also a rookie. And like you said, like he was good, pretty good in rush. His pass wasn't so good. He had 3-4 games where he looked like he had a lot of talent where he could be a great starter in this league. And then he also had devastating games against our division.
Yeah. I mean, the Dallas game, I thought they put me in the game. That first Dallas game. Oh my God. He was just like a revolving door. He's like, here you go. Right over here with the quarterback. Good sir.
You want some pressure?
Be our guest. Be our guest.
Sack our QB.
Our running back to the test. Like that's basically what was going on. Like he just looked really bad. And, some games he just looked really, really good as well. I think it can't be understated enough the fact that we had, a system that wasn't his system in college he was learning as far as blocking. And I know a lot of people think these are just big fat people that just stop people from passing them. That's not how it works. There's whole blocking schemes. There's a lot of things to it. And there's nuances that if you don't play the position, you don't necessarily get. Like I said, I saw certain games that they changed his go a little more college style like he was used to at his days over in Alabama, and he looked better. And I wonder if that's just what they have to do, is say this was what worked for him. This is what we have to do. Remember, Dable said that in his very first press conference. He said, I need to see what these guys can do, what they feel comfortable at, and I need to do that.
Yeah.
Do it.
I mean,
you're satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, changing what the guy does right away and then put him in as a rookie starter and expect him to change everything he's done his whole life you're not going to get success out of that.
No.
Because a lot of critics of, Neal was the way his hips and his footwork set up on the line. And they just changed it with some games, and he did better, but it wasn't something he was used to, and it looked good, and then it was like, one game, and he set back the way he was. He looked a little better. So it depends on the work he puts in on this offseason. He could evolve to be a lot better.
You know what's one thing I don't think he got any credit for whatsoever? And maybe we talked about this on the prior episode. We talked about tight ends there. We talked about how Daniel Bellinger left for a couple games. The running game went way downhill. Guess who else left those games? Evan Neal was also out for those games, if you remember. They both got hurt in that Jacksonville game.
Yeah.
No one talks about that. Now, I'm not saying it's all him. And I'm not going to sit there and say, with Daniel Bellinger back, with Evan Neal being still gone, we would have still had the same issues. I'm just saying, because we can't go back and recreate that situation, to give all the credit to Bellinger and give none of it to Evan Neal being missed in that running game, it is just absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. There's a good chance that he was a contributing factor to that running game going way downhill, starting in Seattle for those couple games when they were both him and Bellinger were both out. But he doesn't get any credit for some reason. A lot of it is people. I think it boils down to these high expectations people have for him because he's the 7th overall pick in the draft. The 7th overall pick. Yeah. No. You want them to be a stud out the bat, but they not all are. I'll say this: I think he's got one or two more years to succeed, and if not, as my dad pops up here with a comment says, Evan Neal can play guard, and that's what I think you'll see, because it's going to be something where we're not going to have the leash we've had in the past. Because if this team's going to succeed, you're not going to let a weak link stay in there forever. And I don't want to say he's a weak link at all times, but he's been a weak link in certain games. As my dad chimes in again, the 5 offensive linemen need to operate as a unit and adjust the defensive line of the blitz. The O-line will not gel until we get 5 starters that can be developed long-term. And he's not wrong in that. We talked about that before the Lions game. That Lions team had like 3 or 4 years together with the same exact offensive line. And what did we see when we played the Lions? They were gelling like Magellan. They were all in their Dr. Scholl's. Every single one of them. Dr. Scholl's, if you're interested in a sponsorship, we are available at 2giantgoofballs at mail.com. But
also size 12.
Size 14, good luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, time will tell. Time will tell. So let's get into the backups here, because we got a few backups to talk about as well. They're backups. Yeah, they're backups. So that's a nice way of putting it. They're backups. The backups are truly backups and should be backups, and no one, I think, is going to go ahead and consider them a starter. I don't think there's any risk that if we cut them, they'll end up on somebody else's starting 5, unless they have injuries to their line and they're desperate for somebody. Basically, you got Tyree Phillips, you got Corey Cunningham, Deverly Hamilton, and Matt Pert. And the interesting thing about these guys is, hypothetically, and I'm not suggesting we cut them all. Hypothetically, we save about $4 million by cutting them, though. They're all about $1 million cap hit right now, with no or very minimal cap casualty numbers there if we cut them. We need at least one or two, obviously. Plus, we need some camp bodies. So I think some of these guys will simply be that, camp bodies. Like
yeah,
Matt
100%.
Pert, bye-bye. You can't stay healthy. Bye-bye. You can't. We've seen it every single time this guy comes in, he gets hurt, or he can't beat out Nate Solder. Like,
No.
Yeah, you're gone. You can't play. It is what it is. I can't play. You can't either. My friend, it's time to go. Time to go. Maybe you can go ahead and do a Pert Plus commercial. Like, I'm Matt Pert for Perts Plus. Do they even make Perts Plus still? I don't even know.
It's a good question.
Being a bald man, I don't know anything about shampoo anymore. It's all body wash.
I want to get shampoo.
Yeah. You're flowing locks there. You're flowing locks. Definitely Hamilton, I think, is one we will probably keep. I think he played decent when he got a chance to play. Corey Cunningham and Tyree Phillips, either one of them could still be on the team, could be on the practice squad, could be cut. And honestly,
Yeah.
I will not care either way.
I mean, if you're going to keep one of the two, you keep Phillips. I mean,
yeah.
Phillips saw the field more than Cunningham, but the way he played when he was on field, at least in PFF, he was way better when it comes to stats.
And I'll say, we'll get into the draft talk later on. But one thing I would like this to see is maybe draft a mid-round tackle. That could be our maybe hopefully swing tackle, best case scenario. Worst case scenario, replace Neal if Neal does have to move inside.
Yeah.
I mean, you get sometimes starters out of the 4th round, guys. It's not like they're all out of the 1st round. You can get 4th, 5th round starters sometimes. So not as common, obviously, but you give a guy a year or two to develop as a swing tackle, see what happens, and take it from there. And I think it's a smart move to make because none of these guys, you're going, okay,
they're not long term.
So-and-so got hurt. Good thing we got this person on the bench.
I know the perfect backup.
Yes, like yeah, there's not one guy I'm like, oh, thank God we have blank to play the position. Yeah, no. And that's dangerous when it's one of the most important positions in all of the NFL, and that's offensive tackle. That's regardless of what side now, because we all know that these guys like to, blitz from both sides now. Not like it used to be where it's the blind side only. The right tackle is very important too. So, like I said, I do think we need a better backup overall. So I do think we'll keep one of these guys, probably Deverly Hamilton if I had to guess. And I think we'll look to get one backup. And I think one of these guys, either Phillips or Cunningham, will probably either end up on the practice squad or be somebody we say, don't move too far just in case.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get him again if an injury happens. So on to the interior. That's the big issue. This is where all the real complaining comes out because Evan Neal doesn't get a full-on pass. But he does get a partial pass because he's a rookie. And you expect a rookie to struggle. What you don't expect is Mark Glowinski to struggle like he did. He was probably our worst offensive lineman this year besides Neal.
Yeah, that's
Mark
the first
Glowinski. And we paid this man some money. We paid him some moolah. This was our biggest off-season acquisition in free agency. I think that's fair to say, at least money-wise.
Yeah,
Richie James was obviously our most effective one, but we gave this guy a 3-year, $19 million deal, which is a decent number to give to a guard in free agency. That averages out to $6.33 million a year. The average starting guards when they make like $4 or $5 million. So we're paying him as above average. Not elite, but above average. He was kind of poop.
It's a lot for a guy on PFF to get to 60.5 ranking or 60.4 or 63.4.
He was kind of poop.
Yeah.
He was kind of poop. And
he was definitely Amber Herb.
And it was to the point where I really think if it wasn't for all the injuries they had at left, then we could have gone ahead and perhaps put up, somebody else at that position, started Nick Gates, at right guard maybe, and had like Ben Bredesen or somebody else we'll get to in a minute play the left guard position. But it wasn't going to happen because of all the injuries. Like I said, I'd like to see what would happen in that scenario. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because I really think if he plays like he did this year, he should be a backup. And we're not going to cut him, because if we cut him, we literally lose $300,000. And even if we cut him post June 1st, which we already went over, I don't like doing that because it sends a bad message to free agents. It's not good looking for the players. We save $1.2 million. So we're still eating $7 million in that scenario.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, you got to keep him for a little bit.
Because year 2 is his biggest cap hit. His full cap hit right now is 8.35. Not good. Because you only paid him 3.3 last year because of the cap issues. We kicked the can a little bit. But, I mean, coming out of Indianapolis, he was a guy who was a great run blocker. He was a great history there. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor didn't exactly have blocking issues when he was playing with him, But, no, it's crud. Like I said, I think the biggest disappointment on that line was him, probably. The biggest disappointment. And I expected the biggest disappointment to be our next guy, Jon Feliciano. Because I'm not a big fan of Jon Feliciano. I really never have been. And
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Listen, I still also hold a grudge for the first Washington game when he literally cost us that. And we got a question here from John. Is Roy Mbatiga from Nigeria gone completely, or is he still signed on the practice squad, the one Umanura got us? He's actually right now not on the roster. He was offered a position with the practice squad through the international program that he's with the Giants, and he turned it down. So that's not to say that he won't be back. That's not to say it was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge necessarily with the Giants, because that's a possibility. But he came and gone a couple times during the year. He got a little bit of time in the games as well. So that was a big guy who was a project. So we'll have to see what happens there with him, John. But I wouldn't expect major things from him. I think best case scenario, he's a serviceable backup in the league, just based on what I saw from him this year. But yeah, like I said, it's hard to say with that, because there's definitely a lot of connections between him and the Giants organization, thanks to OC. And I do think that there's, like I said, agreements in hand that are verbal agreements in those kind of scenarios. And this very well could be one, or it could be that he doesn't think they like him as much as he likes himself. That happens with some of these players. And he can say, I don't want to play for you. I'm going to go somebody else, see what they think of me instead. So, we'll see as time goes there. But yeah, Jon Feliciano though. Oof. You remember like I said, he cost us that game in Washington. Actually, no, that was our home game. That one. It cost us the game with the stupid penalty he had. Yeah, flexing in front of not to showboat in front of other players near the refs. That's going to get you a penalty every single time, even if you meant it towards your teammate. Like he says, it doesn't matter. You still set yourself up for the possibility.
Yeah,
you don't set yourself up for possibilities. You keep your play smart. You play safe like that. He also just didn't overly impress either. He didn't embarrass himself, though. I'll give him that. He did not. There's no point that I was like, oh, my God, Jon Feliciano is so horrible. He needs to get out of there.
I mean, he had the one game where it looks like he was about to star in a tampon commercial.
Well, no, that was a blood from the finger of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I know.
He was not menstruating. It's okay.
Just saying he looked. Didn't say he was.
No Tampax there. But I think honestly, I think he's going to be back next year. And they've already said they're talking to his people. The big question comes into be is for how much, and do they decide to go ahead and guarantee him a starting position? Because I don't think he's earned that. I don't. And I mean, he came out like guns a-blazing, going, "Oh, I'm going to start a center, and I'm going to become a starter. My next one will be big, and all this kind of stuff." But he didn't play that good. He didn't play horrible. And I think he's played good enough that he'd be a damn good backup for us because he can play center and he can play guard. But I don't think he'd be good as a starter. My own opinion, at least. What do you think, Rob?
It all depends on like who we get and what we do on the line, but I don't. He's like an average starter. He's just run of the mill. Like
I say below average. I'm not again not horrible. Yeah. I think he's below average.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see more of him. I mean, like the PFF gave him a 57.1 ranking, which is not something you run home to mom about. But once again, that's also way better than I would get. So,
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I think time will tell on him what happens. But I just hope that if he comes back, there's no promise of him being a full-time starter, because he didn't play where he's deserving of coming back with a guaranteed start like that. Who I want to see as a starter though is Nick, the man Gates. Nick Gates. He's a freaking beast. I want to see him play center again.
That would be fantastic.
I think that's where he was best suited, was center. I do think though where he plays will depend on who we get, whether it be free agency or draft. I think he's such a offensive line Swiss Army knife that I can definitely see him being the guy who goes, okay, where do you need me? You just tell me where you need me, and I'll play there.
And he's already vocally said that.
Yeah, and he's played, I think, at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's played every position on the offensive line for us except for left tackle.
I mean,
he's played right tackle. I'm pretty sure he's played right guard. Obviously, he played left guard this year. He played center before last year and all. It's just, like I said, this guy is a guy that, we got to re-sign him. He's not going to be a ton of money. He's going to be like a $3-4 million kind of guy. And he's a guy that we can literally start anywhere, depending on what happens the rest of the position. And, like I said, I'm a big fan of him. I like what he does to the opposing teams mentally, too, as well. He really attacks them. He tries to get the penalty. He eggs people on. He's that guy.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that you hate when he's not playing for you. But when he's playing for you, you're like, yeah, get him. Get that flag. Have him do something really, really stupid. And he will. Like, he will get that. He did that on Thanksgiving when he got Micah Parsons get a stupid penalty towards the end of the game. Like, he will keep egging you on till you make that mistake.
Yeah. I mean, he's done that a few times.
Yeah.
So, he's fantastic and a great story, too.
Seriously, to be able to come back to start playing again after what happened to him. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for those who forget the injury, he got Joe Theismann basically on Sunday Night Football, ironically enough, against DC. But, I mean, his leg just snapped, crackled, and popped like a Rice Krispie treat. Oof.
Yeah. Just not as tasty.
And a lot of the guys came out afterwards that know him on a personal level, within social media and, podcasts and all, because he's a guy who does work with some of them, has said that he has, had a lot of thoughts about retiring, actually, because that's how bad the injury was. So glad to see he's coming back.
Yeah.
Man, that's for sure.
I mean, they were questioning him, like, to be able to walk just fine afterwards. So, like, the fact that he's NFL caliber player.
Yeah. And we still want him as a starter.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So next up, we got Ben Bredesen. And that's an interesting one because I thought he looked a lot better until he got hurt. And then we just didn't see him again, basically. So
pretty much.
I fully expect him to be back. I think he will fight for a starting position. I think in the end, he'll be a backup.
Most likely.
Personal opinion. We'll see.
But also depends what we do in the offseason.
Yeah, as it always does. In the end, if we get a little crowded at that position, we do save $1 million by cutting him. He's one of those. So, sad as it is, you look at that stuff and you go, okay, there's too many guards here. Who do we cut? You got to look at that as part of it. Like, who would we save money by cutting? So you save $1 million by cutting Brent Bredesen. So it's a possible thing, but I think he'll be back as a backup next year, personally. Well, we'll see. One guy I don't want back no matter what. Shane Lemieux. Shane Lemieux. That man.
Shane.
I've never seen a guy get injured so often and get hurt. So, like every single time he comes back to play. Like literally he gets hurt, does like 6-7 weeks of getting ready to play again, plays again one more time, gets hurt again, repeats the process.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, what did he have? Like 50 snaps with us this year?
Yeah. Like, remember he had that one game he came back to play and got hurt again.
Yeah.
This is what he does. Plays one game, gets hurt. It's almost like that guy that like fakes the injury because he doesn't want to do something. I don't want to really play football, guys. And I'm not accusing him of that. I don't think that's what's going on at all. I mean, I hope not.
I'm just here for workman's comp. I'm not here to come work.
Yeah, like he's that guy that you just like lift your legs, Shane. Lift with your legs. Don't use your back, damn it.
Yeah. Make sure you stretch before you get out there.
Where's your brace? Yeah. We got some more thoughts here from John S. Anderson Jr. Got to get younger guys. Keep cap low. Release all the older O-line or keep as backups if they are not too expensive. I think Pert will get better. He is working with Andrew Thomas to get better. Thomas wasn't great his first year, then got really good. And are you saying Pert or Neal when you say that? I'm wondering because Neal, yes, but Pert's been around enough years. I feel like we kind of know what we got in him by now. I could be wrong. He could, come back and be much better all of a sudden out of nowhere. Maybe the right coach gets to him and convinces him to change something. He's got the size, he's got the long arms, he's got the things you want in the tackle, except talent, it seems. He also comes in with by Shane. Oh, yep, he said Neal. Oops, I thought you meant Evan Neal. Yes, we're not giving up on Evan Neal. I am by no means giving up on Evan Neal. Let me be very clear on that. I'm giving him a somewhat pass this rookie year because of the fact he's a rookie. But next year I need to see growth. Doesn't need to be all pro. He just needs to be a legit starter in the league that you're not going, oh my God, we need to protect the quarterback from this guy. That's all I need. So, we already hit big on on Andrew Thomas. The idea that we hit huge on 2 offensive tackles in the same decade like that in the first 10 picks of the draft in 2 different drafts is not very high percentage-wise. I just need him to be a good starter. That's all I need. And then I'm okay with it because we went for a need. We went for a guy with had the potential, whether he reaches the full potential or not. At least if he's an above average, I should say, starting right tackle, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't need to be stellar. He just needs to be good enough.
We can't all be stellar.
Hey, I'm here. But
not like me.
But just like we said earlier, as long as we got above average players playing as a unit with a couple of stellar players, 1 or 2, we'll be all right.
Yeah. Am I the only one also, because we keep on saying the word stellar, that has Incubus in their head now? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Damn you, Incubus. So next up, we got Marcus McKeithen, who I think we can just say simply incomplete and move on, right? I mean, the guy tore his ACL before we really got a chance to see him. Didn't look very good in training camp from what I heard, but we never got to see him in a game. So I'm going to give him an incomplete, and I think I'm okay with that, and we'll see what he's got next year, hopefully. Hopefully he's not feeling the effects of the ACL because he had it happen. Remember, right? It was fan day. Wasn't it at the stadium?
I believe so, yeah.
Himself. Yeah. So it's when the season starts, it'll be over a year since the injury. So he should be ready to go. So hopefully we got a good chance to see what he is this year, and hopefully he does better than what I think he's going to be. Because personally, I don't think he's going to be on the team very long. I don't think he's that good, but we'll see. I've been proven wrong before. Go for it. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, Marcus.
Do it. You won't.
Do it. You're satisfied. So last guy we got in the guards and centers here, Wyatt Davis, we picked up into the year. So he was still technically on the roster when we ended. And he was somebody we picked up because like 4 people dropped him basically. Huge pedigree coming out of college. Crappy attitude. Doesn't want to work at all. And yeah, I expect nothing. If he wants to come back and be a camp body and prove us wrong, I'm all for that because he's got the pedigree. He was, I think, a 2nd-round pick just like a year or 2
Ohio
ago.
State, right?
Yeah, just like a year or 2 ago. So yeah, I'll take the shot on him in training camp, but I'm not going to give him any kind of guaranteed money. I'm not going to guarantee him a damn thing. And I'd be okay also with keeping him on the practice squad to see if he gets his shit together. Basically, John Anderson, bye Wyatt. Listen, again. There's something there. You don't draft a guy in the 2nd round and see him bounce around the league that quickly. That just tells you how bad the attitude is. If he can maybe grow up and mature a little bit, maybe he's a guy who gets something out of. I don't know. You just never do. But you take a shot, I think, and invite him to camp at least, see what happens. If he wants to come back to camp, he's been on so many teams that he's got options probably.
Yeah.
Except the Vikings. Yeah. The Vikings want nothing to do with him. The original team that drafted him wants absolutely nothing to do with this guy. So
see you later. Bye-bye. Did you go over Azudu or no?
Oh, I skipped him entirely. I can't believe I did that. He's on the list too. I went over his teammate in college and in the NFL before him. So yeah, Joshua Azudu had a little bit of playing time, but not a ton. I think
like what do you have like? I think like 250 snaps, maybe 300.
Yeah, like
it wasn't much.
He showed me enough that I actually have hope for him. And I don't know where the hope's going to wind up in the end. I mean, I think he's got a ceiling of being an okay starter and a floor of being a decent backup. That's what I think.
I would give him, I would give him a little higher ceiling, but like I'm not expecting, a Thomas out of him.
Yeah, like I said, I don't expect great things, but I think he's somebody who could potentially be a starter in this league.
Yeah, I would give him the average, close to above average starter.
There we go.
That's my ceiling.
So, if you look at the roster the way it sits, we know who was playing tackle. Obviously, that's pretty clear. I think, right? I have no clue who's playing either guard positions. I have no clue who's playing center.
No.
Yeah. So usually we give you guys the list of, who we think we could look at in free agency. And typically for a show like this, I'd give you guys tackles, guards, centers. I'm not doing any tackles because we don't need any tackles. If anything, maybe a swing tackle. If they want to go with a veteran swing tackle, I'd be okay with that. But we already know who our starters are. We're not going to pick up any big name tackle, obviously. Not that there's any really big names out there, but we're not going to go ahead and get, those kind of guys there. So let's go over who we could get, and that's interior line. If we want to make that same move again, what do you think the chances are we make that move again, Rob? Though, I mean, do you think that Shane might be a little gun shy after what happened with, getting Glowinski and everybody thinking that's a good move and then poop?
I think I don't think that decision is going to be over with. Like, well, the decision's over, but going forward, I do believe that he's not going to be that gun shy if it's worth it. Like, if you get the cost for a player that's worth it, he's not going to overpay. He kind of looks like he'll underpay for a better talent if he can.
Who wouldn't underpay for some talent? Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So let's go over some of the names that are available out there. So we talked about some of these guys during our free agency show. We talked about potential free agents for the Giants there. And we talked about my theory that I love to take away from division foes. You strengthen yourself, you weaken somebody you have to play twice a year. It's a smart move, folks. It's a smart move. As long as the talent is worth doing it. I'm not saying like, their backup center's available. Let's take them.
Yeah.
That'll show
He
him.
could be on our bench in the practice squad. Let's pay him.
But if you have a guy who's important to a team you face twice a year that you think you can take and help improve your team in the process, you go for it. That's just smart business. It really is. So Isaac Siumalu, the guard from the Eagles, is number 1 here. A lot of people have him pegged as basically the best interior offensive lineman on the free agent market. And I got to say, I'm not too big on him because I think he's much better in in run blocking than he is in pass protection. And I want somebody who can block for Daniel Jones. I also think because he's the top 1, he's going to get a lot of money.
Probably. I mean, his PFF ranking was 75 and change. So
yeah, someone's going to probably pay him like $10 million a year.
Yeah, which is out of our moolah range.
Exactly. And as long as it's not the Eagles or the Cowboys or the Commanders, I'm okay with that. Listen, even if he just leaves the division, it helps us because it weakens the foe we still have twice a year. So it still works in that regard. Here's an interesting one that came up. We talked about this guy also during our free agency preview. Justin Pugh. Justin Pugh. The X Giant. Pew, pew, pew. Yeah, it's a hard pass for me though. The guy's like 32 years old now, injury issues up the wazoo. Yeah, I'm not too good at that. So John Sanderson comes out, Wyatt only 24, so maybe give him some more training, and then he shoots back at you. There, you go right after you, Rob. Not if we cut Barkley, we can afford him, Roberto. I think this was because last time we were giving him a Scottish accent, and now he wants to call you Roberto.
Would you go a little south of Scotland over there? In Spain? Espanol?
Yes. Very, very fancy Spain. Espanol.
That's if we cut Barkley, and that's not 100% positive if we're going to do that. So,
well, it's not even a cut. He's a free agent. So if we don't resign him, basically. But I mean, in the end, I don't think Joe Shane is looking to spend a ton of money on the line right now because he's already got guys he's paying. He's got 2 top 10 picks. He's got a right guard he's still paying $8 million to. As John comes back with the LOL. So I guess he's right. I was right in my thoughts because he didn't say otherwise. It's okay, John. You're trying to get us back. We got you. You're trying to get us back now. Gotta give him the Scottish accent again. So, but yeah, I don't think Shane's going to break the bank for anybody on the offensive line. I really don't. He's going to look for somebody who might be cheaper, maybe draft a guy. But yeah, we'll see. And an interesting option is Roger Saffold, the guard from the Buffalo Bills, considering the Dable Joe Shane connection there. But again, I don't know. I don't see it happening. I always feel bad giving guys this list because I don't think any of these guys are going to happen.
Yeah.
But I want to give it to you because we could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know Joe Shane.
The only reason I can see that, the only reason I see that is because, like you said, the Buffalo connection. Look at what they did this year. But they also are doing with desperation what they were pulled from, which they knew the talent from, which they know they could get for cheap. So it wasn't as much as a risk as if they went out to the Cardinals and did the same thing.
Yep.
Like, they knew what they had in Isaiah Hodgins. They knew what he could do. So it was a smart move for them. If you go and pick up a practice squad of a guy that was on the Raiders, like, you didn't know what you had. Like, no one on our organization worked over there, so like you just didn't know. So when it comes to Roger over here, he didn't see that many games. Well, he saw a lot of the snaps this year, but like his PFF ranking was like 44. Like it wasn't.
Yeah. And this is how bad the free agency. This is how bad the free agency class really is. We're talking about guys like that.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of good offensive linemen. That's why I'm saying the good ones will get paid. They will get paid. Then we have, going back to my theory on taking from your enemies, we have 2 different commanders available in Wes Schweitzer and Trey Turner. And let me just say this. I'm zooming in for this one. No. Avoid them like the plague. Avoid them like the plague. They can't stay healthy. Remember when we played the Commanders and none of their offensive line was healthy? That could be us if we're not careful. Don't do it, guys.
That was us too.
Don't do it. So now we got a couple of interesting guys after this that I think are more the guys that we would look at. First one's Evan Brown, who, if you remember, was a Giant back in 2019 for a little while. Didn't exactly have the best start to his career, but settled in once he got to Detroit and been a starter there for the last couple of years. He's also had some injury issues, though, so I got to bring that up in there. He's had a couple of injuries where he's lost a couple of games in the last couple of years, but never like it. I'm out for the year. Like he didn't play at MetLife and tear his ACL, like that. Oh, I went there. So
he did.
He also could play guard or center. And I think that's important to mention as well, because we talk about the flexibility with Nick Gates. So you can try them out at a couple positions and see what combo works the best.
Yeah, I mean, if you get him cheap, he might be a guy to look at. Like he's taking a step back, but I mean, last year his PFF ranking was 64 and change.
Which I hate 65. To say it, it's not great, but it's better than some of the guys we had out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you turn around and sign him at a low deal, that might be something that's worth it.
Yeah. Then we got Dalton Reisner from the Broncos, and I don't want anything to do with that guy.
No.
Yeah, talented guy, but I've seen too many character issues and arguments with teammates on the sideline.
Personnel is like something that the Mayer family does not like.
Yes. We want a winning culture. That's not how you get a winning culture, by having the guy who's fighting with teammates in the sidelines. So it's a hard pass for me. One I would be interested in, potentially, is Nate Davis from the Titans. I mean, solid guy, not flashy. But listen, I'll take solid. Sometimes that's all you need is solid. You don't need the guy who's your all-pro. They all can't be, Andrew Thomas's. You just want a guy who's good, and you want one Andrew Thomas. And you want everybody else just to be good.
Once again, like going back to PFF, he had like a 70 ranking score.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that's once again, if you get him cheap, it's another guy that plug him in.
And did the Titans have any trouble running the ball with him? Nope.
I mean,
King Henry liked him a lot.
I was about to say, how much that was King Henry though?
No, but I'm listening. It's a team effort as far as the running game. People give the running backs too much credit. It's scheme, it's offensive line blocking, and it's the running back. It's a trio, and you can have 2 out of 3, but you can't do it with 1 out of 3. We had a scheme, and we had the running back. We didn't have the running offensive line this year.
I'm just saying, King Henry ran through a lot of guys at once.
Yes, he did. Then we got Ben Powers, who is one that I think a lot of more people are high on than me. I don't want him personally. So he had a really good year this year. But prior to that, he's been a guy who's had trouble just holding it on to a starting position in the line. And I'm not going to give money to a guy like that when we're so strapped for cash as it is. If we needed, that was like the missing piece. Like, listen, we just really need a quality guard to complete our offensive line, go on a huge run. And I feel like some Giant fans are going in that mentality already, because it's like, oh, we won a game in the playoffs. We had a good year. This is our year now to break out, especially because you saw what the Eagles did. And I hate to give the Eagles credit, but the Eagles had the same year we had this year, last year, and they ran with it. We're not going to be that way, guys. Not unless we'd make some of the additions like they made. Like, I don't think we're getting, a star
AJ Brown.
Receiver. Yeah, we're not getting AJ Brown this offseason. We're not going to go ahead, and Daniel Jones will probably not make the leap from average to MVP caliber. That's not typical. It was a perfect storm what the Eagles had happen. So you still got to play like you're rebuilding, because we are.
Yeah, 100%.
And rebuilding, you're careful with your money. You give it to young guys who you think will be good long term. And Ben is young, but long term, I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, he played well this year, but
yeah.
I don't know if that's enough to.
I don't want. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to take it away from him, because he played good this year, but I just don't know, because he hasn't done that before. If I want to give him money, I don't like to give anybody money after off of 1 year. See, we talked about that with Dexter Lawrence. I don't want to pay him like a top defensive tackle because he's had 1 year as a top defensive tackle. What if that's his career year? Then you're stuck with Leonard Williams all over again, who had his career year, and then we signed him. This is why you don't sign people off career years. What if this is, Ben Powers' career year, and then we have 2 Mark Glowinskis?
Yeah. Listen, you go up to a roulette table and you see black come out twice and then red. You don't sit there and go, oh, let me bet red because it was one time he came out.
So we have a couple of centers. I know we really haven't talked much about the centers here except for Evan Brown, who can play center. There's not a lot of centers out there, guys. That's part of what it is. We talked about this during the free agency episode as well. Ethan Posick from the Browns had his best year last year. Obviously worked with the great Bill Callahan. So hopefully that, some of that rubbed off for him because, that's like the O-line whisperer. That guy is just absolutely amazing. Giants should open their checkbook for him years ago. I think because he's the best center, I think someone's going to open up a checkbook for him.
Probably.
And I don't want to be
There's a PFF. Yeah, PFF gave him a 79 ranking. So, like, he only had one penalty last year. He allowed 2 sacks. Like, he played well, which means someone's going to give him some money.
Yeah. And listen, guys, again, we are not shopping at Gucci and Prada. We're shopping at Marshalls and we're shopping at Ross, okay? You don't get that kind of
don't
player.
Don't forget TJ Maxx.
Listen, who could forget TJ Maxx? They're unbelievable savings. And TJ Maxx, if you're interested in the sponsorship, we are available at 2giantgoofballs@mail.com. So we got one more guy here, Connor McGovern. So those guys who follow New York football like crazy will probably recognize the name because he is a New York Jet.
Plays in the same stadium.
Yeah. And he's average.
Yeah.
So I think somebody's going to pay him something decent because, again, there's not a lot of centers in the market. And I don't want to overpay for an average center. And I think someone's going to get him. It just takes a couple people to need a center, and those 2 guys are right gone immediately for a lot of money.
Yeah,
especially once the one goes, because everybody gets desperate.
Pretty much, and he's probably going to want a longer-term deal. And what's he like?
He'll probably get about a
31.
He'll probably get about 3-year, $27 million, which is around what he got last time when the Jets signed him. And he's probably worth it because he's still at least average. John comes out with, I prefer BJ Max, LOL. Listen,
you're not wrong.
The only team that can go around BJ Max is the Las Vegas Raiders because they're the Bunny Ranchers. I'm just saying.
Yeah, or maybe the Patriots. I mean, Kraft likes his.
That's the massage parlors.
Oh, sorry.
That's the massage parlors. He had back injury. He had a back injury that turned to a front injury.
Yeah,
he was really stiff. They got all of the infection out. Just had to rub it a little bit.
Yeah. He was really stiff going in there.
Oh yeah, he wasn't stiff going out though. That's for sure.
Yeah,
nice and relaxed. So let's go over some of the guys in the draft as well, because we've had a couple of guys in the comments here that I've kind of purposely left some of those comments out because they were talking about what we're going to talk about there, and that's the line. My dad strikes in here with there are some small school O-line projects that can be picked late, but that doesn't help us today. Wide receiver and running back are deeper this year than O-line. We may need to use our 1st or 2nd round pick on a center. We're going to get into that part in a little bit here as far as because there are a couple guys that do fit that bill. John says Shane going to get running back in draft. Robinson, I think they might go after if he drops at least to 15. I don't think they're going to run for a 1st round pick running back, John. I really don't see that happening. I think they're going to go ahead and get a, more of a guy like a 3rd, 4th round running back if they draft one. It's not a good move to get a 1st round pick running back. It's really not, especially when you have other holes that are more difficult to find. You get people all the time, 3rd, 4th round running backs that are studs. Look at Dameon Pierce last year. Brian Gallagher Jr., Osiris Torres, and Jared Patterson are my 2 guys in the first 2 rounds. And I'll just say this, Brian, stop looking at our paper.
I was saying, it's a good segue.
It's a good segue. It really is. Look at So first up on our board, now what I did is I went based on PFN rankings, and went ahead and did it based on that. I try to pick a different person for rankings each time since no one sponsors us. We're not chained to one particular platform.
Yeah.
Osiris Torres out of Florida is ranked number 30 on their big board. A really good tackle. I said really good tackle, really guard. I think far and away the best one in the draft, at least from a prospect standpoint. Who knows what the future holds? But the big issue with him is the mobility. He doesn't move well in pass protection. He's a true anchor in both positive and negative ways. So he's a guy that he'll sit there and he'll hold his position, and people don't typically get past him. But if you need to move him in space or something like that, he's not the guy that does that very well. Very dominant in the running game. So obviously it's a big thing with us for the, considering the Giants are overall. What do you think about him, Rob? Do you think that Giant fans will flip out if we get an offensive guard in the first round, considering everybody's talking about all these flashy wide receivers and corners and linebackers we need to go get a guard?
No, I don't think so. I mean, some fans will definitely be upset, but a lot of fans have been saying, and I'm one included, for almost 10 years now, we need to work on this line. We need to beef up this line because that'll improve.
Where's the beef?
It's what's for dinner.
Oh.
But everyone can attest that our line has not been there, and it could be a lot better, which will improve our running game, improve our pass game, improve the overall offense.
Yeah. And everybody talks about it as if Daniel Jones just needs a weapon. But during the whole year, everybody's complaining, he needs protection. He needs time to throw.
Yeah. When you're the number one pressure,
you go ahead and get people to block for him.
When you're the number one pressured quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
I mean,
as good as we were in the running game, we were really bad in the pass protection. Really bad.
And how much better can that run game been with a better offensive line?
A huge difference. So that brings us up to our next guy, Jon Michael Schmitz, who I almost want to get him just for the name.
Yeah.
It just sounds cool, especially with having the full Jon Michael Schmitz. So out of Minnesota, ranked number 47. Strong anchor on the pass protection, moves well. So here's what it is now. It's like, which kind of guy do you want? Do you want the anchor? Do you want the guy who moves well? But it also is now, do you want the guy who plays guard like Torres, or do you want the guy who plays center like Schmitz? So there's a lot of options here in this thing here. But, the big thing with him is he wins first contact, but he's also a little bit experienced for a rookie. He's 24 years old right now, guys. That's pretty old. And you're going to see a lot of that in the draft coming up here because a lot of these guys are like fifth-year seniors because they had the extra COVID year. So 24 years old this he's going to be. He still needs work on his pad level and his angles in space. So he's not totally refined like Torres is kind of considered like he is what he is. Like people think they have a good feel for what he is. This guy needs a little bit of work. And you're going to probably pick him up in the second round. But probably more towards the first half of the second round, maybe second half if it falls a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this guy's also an anchor, but he also needs work on technique, and who better than our offensive coaching staff?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be upset with this move either. And you got some pretty good guys who could, coach him up. Just on the line already, like Feliciano, like as much as we talk crap about him, like he's been in the league. He's been in the league a long time, and he could give some pointers.
So is Glowinski. Again, we're talking trash about him, but he's been in the league for 7 years now, it feels like.
Yeah. And then also Nick Gates plays center, and he plays it well. Like if you go over and you start talking to these guys, like it's not a bad thing to have a guy that needs to work on some technique.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not a bad move. It's just not as good as Torrance is, but he's not going to be available in the second round. He'll be gone by the time we pick a second time. No. That's for sure. Unless we trade up and he's still available. That's which you never know on that part.
And I feel like Smith has like a higher ceiling Like right now, he's at the lower, floor. But
Brian with Feliciano is a literal traffic cone. Yeah. We talked about that, Brian. We're not big fans of his play per se. We're okay with him coming back in a cheap deal to be a backup and start if he has to. But yeah, no, we're not big fans.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Brian, your second guy you picked up before, Jarrett Patterson out of Notre Dame, ranked number 61. Very smart guy, good with the technique there. Blocks past the play when you watch him too. And for people who don't know what that means per se, when they write up a play, they kind of go, okay, you're going to go here and you're going to go this direction with this guy. And they give you a little line saying basically this is where you're going to end up. No, this is the guy that says, screw that line. I'm going to keep on pushing this guy. And I like that kind of drive. I like that kind of attitude. He's a guard. The one issue you come into again is he's not very mobile. He's kind of the Wish version of Torrance there. He just
I won't go that far. The Walmart version.
Okay, the Walmart version. But I'm just saying he's a guy who, like I said, he's a poor man's version. Is that better? He's a poor man's version.
There you go. I mean, if you go on Wish, man, is he like 2 times too small?
No, I mean, oh my God, those sizes. It's like I'm 5'6". I wear an XL. Oh my gosh! I actually got a shirt one time off of eBay of all places that was like that. It was like I'm looking at the sizing chart and I'm getting myself like a quadruple XL and I'm like, what the hell? Like I feel fat now.
Yeah.
These people made me feel fat. But yeah, here's Brian with giving his take on him. He said, I like his versatility, being able to play guard or center. Looked much better at center. Gives options depending on what they decide to do with Gates. And I'm with you on Brian. I like that as well. And I think what they'll do probably if they get people that are versatile along with Gates is they'll move them around in training camp and kind of see what the best combo is there. I do like having a guy like Gates as the center, though, because of the fact that he's got experience at the position at the NFL level. Just keep in mind the center a lot of times is not just snapping the ball. He's calling some of the blocks. He's seeing stuff up at the line of scrimmage as well. But he's also got rapport with Daniel Jones as well. So yeah, I like Gates to be that guy. I like a guy like Jarrett Patterson to be the guard, and who knows, maybe potential center down the road. What do you think?
No, I agree, and especially like you said, like you get cut and play, and God forbid one of those guys, you have both of them, and one of them gets hurt, and now you only got one guy that can only play one position. Well, you can move the other one around.
Yeah, listen, versatility is a great thing to have, and I am all for it wherever I can get it. That's for sure. We do have our next true center up, and that's Joe Tipman out of Wisconsin, ranked 81 at PFN there. Big guy, very athletic. He has all the things you can't teach like that physically. He's got it. What he doesn't have is mechanics, correct, to improve. He's got to improve his leverage. He's got to improve his flexibility. Some of what, how he moves his hips around. He's going to be a little more of a project, like a boom or bust kind of guy. I feel like he's going to be a guy that either is going to become a true starter in the league, or be a guy who we got a practice squad in a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's got a high ceiling. Like, because when it comes to your flexibility and your movement, that's something you could train.
Got to move like Jagger. Got to move like Jagger.
But you can't train size like this
you
guy
can't.
has.
And that's why he'll keep on getting pushed in this draft.
Yeah.
It's only so many pasta dinners you can eat. I do like me some pasta, though.
Pasta.
Pasta sounds good. Yes. By the way, Rob, do you know what the fastest car in all of Italy is?
The pasta wagon?
The Vizul. You know why?
It's pasta.
Because no one can pasta Vizul.
Boo.
Gotta love the good old dad jokes. But yeah, so like I said, we got next up, we got, like I said, the guy who's opposite of what we have there, like I said, with Joe Tipman there. He's the guy who, like I said, needs work in his technique. We talk about other guys being good in their technique, not necessarily good in fluidity and motions, but not everybody's good at that. That's either you have that speed and you have that agility or you don't. So I don't know. It just kind of scares me to go with a guy like that doesn't have it down before he leaves college. You know what I mean? Like you should have gained that before you left college. You know, it's like I have no problem if a college team I root for says, here's this big guy. He doesn't quite know what he's doing, but maybe we can teach it to him.
Yeah. Mongo's right here in the middle.
Yeah, like you don't think Wisconsin has some good offensive line coaches? Like the Big Ten is what typically produces a really good bunch of tackles and guards, along with the SEC. Those are the kind of the two conferences in college that typically give you those positions. So yeah, I just it's a hard pass for me, and I haven't said it to anybody yet. I've kind of given the pros and cons, but he's a hard pass for me. I don't want a project.
Yeah, no,
yeah. Next up, we have Steve Avila at a TCU, another fifth year center. He's the 82nd ranked, so he's right below Joe Tipman there. Really big, really strong, not very agile, and needs some help with the blitz pickup and recognition of that. That's a guy that I would more take the risk at in those mid rounds, because I can teach you how to read blitzes as long as you have the IQ to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're an idiot, you just be an idiot. I can't teach you not to be an idiot. But if you're not an idiot, then I can teach you how to pick that up.
But yeah, he's a fifth year senior now. He should be able to pick some of it up. He should be signing some of the tape. And my big thing too, he's not that agile. So like modern day NFL, your defensive guys aren't as big as what they used to be. They're more agile guys that are moving around.
None of these guys have been. None of these guys have been agile. This is not the pulling guards and the guys that are setting your screens up and doing a really good job in that. These are the guys who just sort of sit there and not move. There's something to be said about that. If you do a traditional pocket style kind of offense, which I know Daniel Jones may run a lot, but he still is a pocket passer. When he runs, it's because stuff went downhill or it was designed to be a run. Wasn't like he's just running all around because he likes it, enjoys it. He's running around because he's running for his life.
Pretty much. Didn't want to hit.
Yeah. One too many hits in the head.
Yeah. Bong.
Hits from the bong. What? so yeah, I got one more guy for you. One more guy. And I saved the Jersey boy for last. The Jersey boy.
Jersey boy.
Luke Weipler out of the Ohio State University. And yeah, he's from Montvale, New Jersey. So anybody who's from that area, little Montvale pride there for you. Montvale.
Little shout out.
Yeah, I think it's probably the first shout out we've given to Montvale, New Jersey, because to be very frank with you, I didn't even know where it was. I had to look it up, but it's like right on the border of New York and New Jersey.
I was going to say like, it's way north, probably.
Yeah. It's like, you know where Pearl River is in New York?
Yeah.
It's literally right across from Pearl River. It's that close. That's the next town over. It's like there's the last one before you hit the New York border. Way the hell up there. So I think it's Bergen technically, but I'm not seeing the map I'm looking at here. It doesn't give me the borders for the counties there. Oh, it is. Yeah, Bergen County. So you know what that means. He doesn't do any shopping on Sunday. Bergen County. That's such a weird thing still. I don't know why they do that. Joyzy, there's John S. Anderson, Jersey. Here's the problem though, John. He calls a Taylor ham problem where he lives. It's the damn
probably.
Pork roll. It's a damn pork roll. Anybody calls it otherwise is wrong, because they're wrong, I say. We also got John asking earlier, is Gates reliable because of the injury he took? Listen, John, besides that injury, he was very reliable. There's always a risk when you get a guy coming off that kind of injury. But was he reliable last year? Usually when you come back from a big injury, your first year back is your worst year.
Yeah.
He was reliable. He was there. Once he was able to play, he was there. They may have started him slowly, putting him in as like an extra tight end and stuff like that in Seattle. But he was there. Oops, hit the wrong one there. So John says, I call it pork roll. Good job, John. It's always called pork roll. It's never called Taylor ham. Taylor is the company that makes it. Pork roll is the product. Pork roll. So, but yeah, so I think we got some interesting options here options for us to pick. And I stopped there at the first 3 round kind of guys, because there's a lot of guys that I think you might find later on that are kind of diamonds in the rough. But I won't pretend to be the guy who goes, oh, there's this guy available in the 6th round at a West Christian Texas University that I just love. Like, no. Most people don't know that. And to be honest, most of the talking heads you hear talking football that tell you about a guy like that, it's because they heard somebody else say it. And that's how draft buzz creates. It's the truth. Let's be honest. They heard somebody 100%. Talk about him that lives in the near
unless
the
they're scouts.
Yeah. Like, that's what typically happens is these guys hear one guy say it and they keep regurgitating the same BS over and over again, thinking that makes it true. Like I said, these are the guys that are the big time names. And the one that I have heard mentioned the most is Steve Avila as a guy, because we do have 2 3rd-round picks. And he's a guy that kind of fits what we want to do at that point, the big, strong Muller kind of guard. And
Smash.
Yeah, and you put him next to a guy like Andrew Thomas. You don't think Andrew Thomas can talk to him real quick before the snap and tell him what's going on? Think Andrew 100%. Thomas has trouble reading blitzes? He just wants somebody big and dependable next to him. So you move a guy like this to the left guard. You move Nick Gates over to center. You just improve 2 positions in theory.
In theory.
And you let everybody else battle it out for right guard there. Let the best man win. May the odds forever be in your favor. And I think that's the way to go, is get one guy that to you is a starter, whether it be in free agency or it be in draft, and just let the best man win from there, whoever that is. Because we got Josh Azuto still. He's going to be a 2nd-round guy. We got Marcus McKeithen we haven't seen. We have Nick Gates coming back from his first full year since the injury. You got to kind of hope too Glowinski can come back to what he used to be, somewhat even. Like, it's weird to go for that good for that long to go to being the worst lineman like that. It's weird. I don't know if it's a scheme fit or what the deal is, or if he owed some gambler some money or what happened there. But it was just something was off on him this year. Maybe he got something personal going on home. Maybe he's got his own Giselle situation going on. Who knows? I mean, you don't know these guys. These guys still have real lives. They still have real lives outside of this place. You don't know. So we'll see what happens there. But like I said, I think that's the plan personally. I think they'll get one guy they think is a quality starting offensive lineman for the interior, and they'll let the rest of the chips fall where they may from there.
Yeah. And yeah, I pretty much agree. And once again, it's a rebuild year. So I see them utilizing the draft for most of these positions. And if they could come up cheap, they'll go to free agents.
Yep. I'm 100% with you on that one there. I think that's the way they're going to go. And I think they are going to want to get a guy to improve. It's just a matter of, getting the person that fits the budget. That is an improvement.
Correct.
And with our budget, the guys that we're going to get in free agency probably aren't going to be an improvement. So we'll have to see what happens there. So, all righty. So, Giant fans there, any questions you have in the comments section, feel free to pop them in here while we kind of wrap things up here so we can get to any last-minute questions you may have. So next episode will be breaking down the D-line. So we're going to go ahead and go over the defensive line with you guys. Now, Antonio of Breaking Tackles Giants podcast has said he plans on coming on with us for that one, actually. So that's breaking news here for us while that we're talking here. I am, Totally working here on the phone while I'm talking to you guys. I'm multitasking. It's a typical ADD. Get this man some Ritalin, goddammit. But yeah, he'll be on with us on Friday, he said there. So we look forward to having that there for you guys. Like I said, we are determined to try to get you guys some good guests here for all these episodes that we possibly can. And then after the defensive line, Monday is going to be the edge position. And then Wednesday after that will be the linebacker position. So we're going into the defense here. We're almost done with we're done with the offense now. Oof.
Yeah.
Feels like we just started this thing, doesn't it? Like, and we've had some great guests on too for you guys, and I appreciate them coming on and giving the knowledge there during these talks of the offense here. And we move on, turn the page here to the defense. And thank you very much to all you guys who are listening in here, whether it's listening on podcast land after the fact, whether it's watching live on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or Twitch, or my Instagram, my Indeed, LinkedIn, whatever it is, one of those business ones. Damn it, my LinkedIn profile. I do not have an Indeed profile if my boss asks though. But yeah, it's we appreciate you guys coming on. It's nice to get all the regulars starting to come. Now that we're on like doing live, it's nice to see guys, like John and obviously my dad comes on all the time as well. Ken comes on. Frankie likes to stalk Rob every episode. It's nice to see. And Brian, I think you've been on a couple of times as well, so it's nice to see you guys coming back. That means we hope you liked it. Either that or you're just a glutton for punishment. I'm not sure which one.
Or bored.
Hopefully the first one.
Yeah.
But we really do appreciate everybody coming on and listening and watching. And again, if you're watching us live, and you prefer listening in your car on the way to work or something like that, if you got that long, like hour-long Jersey commute, we're on every podcast platform known to man as well. You can catch up on some old episodes if you guys are brand new to it. Oh, that's who Brian is. I'm like, why does that little picture look so familiar? And I knew obviously that Brian. This is Brian from Big Blue Unfiltered that we had on last episode. I'm like, there we go. I'm like, look at him. That picture looks so familiar. He's looking rather. We're gonna put that back up. Look how dapper he looks. That man looks dapper. Brian, you look dapper. I only hope you were at some girl's window with the big boombox trying to get her to come down, going 80s style. Hey.
Wow.
But yeah, again, so like I said, if you're watching like that, if you're listening, like I said, on the podcast, go over to those platforms. The best one, if you go to YouTube, you can click that little bell and they'll give you a little notification every time we go live. As always, we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. We will keep this going all off season long. So this is not one of those things where like, I need more Giants content. Trust me, guys, we will go ahead and give you that. As John comes in earlier with, well, I think that we have 190 days till the regular season. Damn, that's depressing. It's not. We have plenty of stuff to come up with. Don't you worry. So as Brian says, thanks, fellas. Haha, great job. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
We had those guys on last episode. Check that one out, too, as well. We had a great talk about tight ends. There was a lot of innuendo going on, of course, because, we're immature as hell. But it was a lot of fun day with those guys there. You get a bunch of Jersey guys together. We're going to see all kinds of raunchy things. It happens. We can't help ourselves. So,
especially about everyone's favorite tight ends.
Oh, yes, tight ends. And Rob has to, every episode at one point, put his hands up like this, of course. He can't help it.
Listen, the tight ends are great.
They're great. They're so tight. So, as always, Giant fans, thank you very much again for listening and picking these two goofballs here to be the ones to share with you guys some Giants knowledge. We'll see you guys all on Friday. If you haven't already, set that alarm Friday at 9. Friday, 9 p.m. We will be live. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?